Good morning, my Teaserking family. How's everybody today? I am fine. I got woken up by a bloody nose. I hate when that happens. So I went and I sneezed. It's about 6 o'clock, and I sneeze and I sneeze again. Really, and I good sneezes. Right, well done, high effort, and And then all of a sudden, I felt a flood come down my face, and I realized that I was bleeding. So it went all over my sheets, and I go to the bathroom and try to get a towel to absorb it. And then so I'm washing my sheets now, and then got it on my face on the floor. It was a bloodbath. So anyway, that's kind of what happened. And I'm better now. I mean, I'm gently sneezing, but no blood's gushing out. Um, I had that before. I ended up getting a humidifier in my room because it was too dry and it would cause me to get nosebleeds. My humidifier, I don't believe works right now. I plugged it in, but nothing's happening. I had it for 5 or 6 years, so probably time for a new one. But we'll see if it persists. But yeah, it's pretty scary when you all of a sudden you're bleeding, and and you can kind of know this isn't normal. This isn't like just regular crap coming out of your nose. But anyway, better now. Went back to sleep and doing my laundry. So, how's everybody today? Um, Pretty good day in baseball. And let me just send these. So we know gold's off yesterday. It'll be on tonight. I'm expecting China to start buying all of us instead of selling. That's what's been weird is China's been, you come up and it's Sunday evening and you go, okay, now China's going to buy and gold will go up $50. And it just doesn't. And you're like going, what's going on here? So anyway, a lot of economics to go over and a lot of markets and comex and July 1st. Maybe I'll show you a little more Egon and anything else that pops into anybody's mind. So we're still calling for $5,000 gold. And really the demand's getting very big. And I just don't think there's any left. I think comex is a joke, which they'll start figuring out. There is no physical in comex, and it's just a Madoff, and it's not really real. And there is no gold there, and I think they'll start figuring that out. All right, so let's look at baseball from yesterday. Then we'll get back into economics. I know Sunday there's usually 12:30 games or whatever. So we start off with the Mets 3, the Yankees 2. Low scoring game with two pretty good offenses, but the Yankees just confused the hell out of me. You got Judge and you got whatchamacallit, Goldsmith, and that you scored 2 runs. So I don't know. They lose 3-2 to the Mets. We didn't play it. It had already started. The Cubs 7, the White Sox 3. We had the Cubs over 10, which was a push. Getting a lot of pushes lately. Matthew Boyd with the 2.98 ERA did pitch well and held the White Sox to 3, although I don't think that's a big deal. They don't hit anyway. The Cubs got their 7. So it was pretty much as it should be. Toronto beats Detroit 2-1. I have Detroit over 8.5 because the pitchers were pretty high ERAs, and I know Detroit can hit and Toronto can hit. And I'm watching the game, and Reese Olson, I don't know. I've never seen such. All right, let's talk umpires, right? I've never seen such bad umpiring in my life. I'm at the club doing my bike because it's on FanDuel. What the hell is FanDuel? Where the hell? I don't have FanDuel on my TV. I wouldn't even know where to get it. So the first bad call is the balls and strikes. The guy in Detroit throws like a curveball, and it's like a sinker, I guess, where it just drops. And the guy's watching it, and the ball drops, and it almost hits the ground, and the ump calls it a strike. But you don't call it 5 feet in front of the plate. You call it crossing the plate. The umpire has no idea. A lot of bad calls on the pitches that were balls that he called strikes. I never seen such terrible umpire. Then we get to, I believe it was the bottom of the 6th or the bottom of the 7th, a man on, and the guy, the catcher, I think, I don't know. No, that was the catcher in another game. Left-hander, and he hits the ball a mile into right field. And it hits the foul pole. The foul pole is weird. It has a pole, and then there's like netting. So this is is fair. And here's the foul pole, and then over here is foul. The ball it goes down, and it hits the net. Obviously a home run. The ump's call foul ball. Okay, it's impossible for it to be a foul ball because how could it hit the net, which is fair? If you see the ball hitting the net, and they call it foul. Well, that's the whole point of the net, is that it's fair. If I was the manager, I'd have pulled my team off the field and said, well, when we get competent umpires, we'll come back. How the hell is that not a home run? It hits the thing. It was like one of these high, and then it's falling, but it's over the fence. How is it a foul ball? If it did hit something foul, how did it then get to the net? It can't hit the net. Like the ball had to be hit into the net. It couldn't be over here foul and then ricochet into the net. The worst call I've ever seen in my life. And so out of poetic justice, Toronto wins the game 2-1. And, a single in the 8th and a single in the 9th. And, so they win 2-1. And I was happy about that because I thought they got screwed. I thought the pitches were horribly called. The guys throwing them on the ground, they're balls. They're low. Well, yeah, 12 feet in front of the plate, though, they were strikes. Yeah, okay, yeah. And then how did they blow that home run call? So I'll have to try and check YouTube to see if anybody has any explanation how that ball was not fair. It could not have hit the net. Only if it was just in the air, falling, hitting into the net. It can't ricochet into the net because the net's in front. Worst call I've ever seen. Anyway, but this is why I worry about games on FanDuel, about what is real and what is a fixed game. And that game to me was clearly a fixed game, and yet Toronto, they couldn't do anything. Toronto won the game. They couldn't fix it anymore. They're calling balls strikes for Detroit. They're calling home runs foul balls for Detroit. Unbelievable. Just terrible. Terrible things. Anyway, Toronto wins 2-1. I was happy for that. I mean, I'm so sick of all the everybody here. Oh, Detroit's the best team in the league. They're the first team to get 30 wins. And yeah, they played Colorado and the White Sox like 12 games. So take it easy, fellas. Like the Lions, they played a bunch of shit teams and they thought they were good. But then as soon as they played good teams, they got killed. Washington 10, Baltimore 6. We have Washington. It wins. Kyle Gibson with his 16.78 ERA comes through. We thought about the over, but we just said, well, we got to take Washington. This Kyle Gibson's terrible, and he goes up 10. So there is a method to my madness. Tampa 4, Miami nothing. I had Miami over 8. Miami didn't score on Drew Rasmussen, 2-4 to 2.93. Alcantara with his 8 ERA only gives up 4, not 8. So I did think it would be over. Miami can hit. I'm shocked they got shut out. Philly 5-2. Zach Wheeler gets the win. We do have Philly 2 units. Philly's the winner. So I had Detroit over 8, 2 units lose. I have Miami over 8, 2 units lose. Then I get cooking. I got Philadelphia for 2 units win. Cincinnati 4-1 over Cleveland. I have Cincy over 10. Just bad pitching, and yet Cleveland only gets a run. So what do I got for Cleveland? I got 5 hitters, so I got to relook at it. I think I don't think you can just, you almost got to do left-handed hitter, left-handed 5 hitters, right-handed 5 hitters, or at home 5 hitters, on the road 5 hitters. A little bit more than just they're good hitters, but if they're good hitters, they're pretty good anywhere. Texas 5, Houston 1. Belanco, he's just not there. Tyler Mayo 5-1 with a 1.47 wins for Texas, and we had Texas. St. Louis 1, Kansas City nothing. Miles McCullough gets a win. Noah Cameron gets a loss. And we had KC over 8.5. Yeah. Game just what we thought. 1-0. Amazing. McCullough doesn't throw shutouts. We got Minnesota 7, Milwaukee nothing. We had Minnesota under 7.5. That was a winner. Pablo Lopez 4-2 with the 2.40. And Tobias Myers 1-1 with it was perfect. Lopez gets the shutout as we thought. Boston 7, Atlanta 6. I was watching this game. It was actually on Fox. And Atlanta had 5 runs in the first 2 innings, and I thought they're going to win. Then it was like 6-2, and I have it over 9.5, 2 units, and they end up 7-6. Boston wins. Amazing. Colorado 14, Arizona 12, a football game. We nail this one. Arizona over 9.5. I'm shocked Colorado scored 14 runs, but Arizona does get 12, but I need over 9.5. So usually I'm going to play Colorado over because their pitching's terrible. Seattle 4, San Diego 1. Again, I have San Diego, and again, Seattle beats them. Frustrating. San Diego, good. How do they get 1 run? It's crazy, but wasn't a bet. The Niners 1, Oakland 0. I have the Niners over 8 because Oakland scores. Only they got 1 run. Pretty crazy. And then our last one, I have the Dodgers over 8.5, 2 units. And California scores 11 runs and wins 11-9. Where is that coming from? Both pitchers kind of bad. Pretty weak ERAs. And the Dodgers I like over a lot. And again, this is a game that could be fixed. The Dodgers were like 350 favorites, which is why I played the game over. And they lose 11-9. The Dodgers pitching is very suspect. They're turning into a great over team. The Niners, Oakland, I don't understand. Oakland, let's look at that box score. How does Oakland get shut? In 10 innings, they don't score. That's unbelievable. You got 5 hits. So the question is, who the hell was their batting order? All right, so they start off with Wilson, their shortstop, 333, goes 0 for 4. Soderstrom, the third hitter, the left fielder, hits 278, got a hit. Langer, the catcher, 255. Aguilar, the third baseman, hitting 312. A right fielder hitting 227. And then you got your second baseman hitting 274. They got a hell of an infield. Second base, 274. Shortstop, 333. The center fielder, 2. They got a terrible outfield. And Kurt's 232. So I have Oakland with 6 hitters. Let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. They had 5 hitters yesterday. Again, the outfield is 278 in left, 227 in right, and 206 in center. I mean, your outfield should all hit 300. I mean, that's ridiculous that you got your outfielders hitting 220 and 206. Avocado. So I don't know how they got shut out. The Niners, Yastrzemski 278, Flores 263, Lee 282, Ramos 288. Some reason your third baseman's hitting 220, you got him batting 5th. Shortstop hitting 225. Then you've got a first baseman hitting 158. What is he doing on your team? Your first baseman's a hitter, and you just put him at first base because it's the easiest position. Catcher hitting 178. And then why do you have your second baseman who's hitting 295 batting 9th? What are you, insane? So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 hitters. And again, but I question that. So in the middle of your lineup, you got 220, 225, 158, 178. Well, you ain't scoring runs, putting them together. And then you got the 9th hitter hitting 295. The 9th hitter should not be hitting 295. Your 9th hitter should be hitting 195 because you don't want him up as he's not going to bat. He's get as much at bats. What is wrong with these managers? Oh, it must be analytics. I mean, these guys are morons. I mean, it's just logic. You want your better hitters to get as many as bats as you can. I did that when I managed my daughter's fast pitch team. I had 2 great hitters let off batting 1 and 2, and my power hitter batted 4th. And then it was like whoever, and anybody get a hit? And but then I knew my best 3 hitters were going to bat the most, which is what I wanted. I want them up the most. Not that hard, fellas. Why these managers, these major league managers, can't figure it out, I really don't know. Luis Severino, 6 innings, 4 hits, 0 runs with a 4.22 ERA, and he's throwing a 4-hit shutout for 6 innings. And then Frisco, Rupp, 6 innings, 4.11 ERA, also throws a shutout. Yeah, these pitchers with the 4.5 ERAs aren't supposed to throw shutouts. If they did, they'd have 1.5 ERAs, not 4.5. So anyway, I'm not going to go through all the games, but just the ones that make sense. So I lose Detroit over. I mean, most of the time they score, 7 runs. And Miami over, which is a big hitting team. They got shut out. Just amazing. And then we hit Philly, Boston over, Arizona over, and the Dodgers over. So we ended up going 4-2 yesterday. And the 2 we lost, I have no idea how that happened. Detroit clearly was fixed. They were getting all the strikes that were hitting in the dirt, and they got a home run that apparently didn't count. Unbelievable. I'm going to research that. How could it hit the net? I mean, the foul pole is not close. You can't ricochet off of it. It hits you can see it hit the net. How could it not be a home run? So I don't know what I'm missing, but all right. Anyway, 105 is our first game. Houston and Texas. Houston 118, 8.5. Framber Valdez 2-4 at the 3.54. Jack Leiter 3-2 at the 4.34. This game, I don't know how good Valdez is. He's 2-4, 3.54. They're playing low-scoring games, Texas and Houston. I have no idea anymore. Leiter with the 4.34, the way it's going, he'll pitch a shutout. Jesus. Well, let's look at the hitting, but I got to update this tonight. Texas 5 hitters and Houston 5 hitters. Now, yes, just because you're hitting 300 doesn't mean you're going to get 3 hits or 2 hits. And because you're hitting 160 doesn't mean you're going to get 0 hits. The odds say that's what will happen because that's your average. So on average, you get hits or don't hit. So these pitchers, I don't know. I don't know. My instincts say Texas will win. So I'm just gonna go with Texas. No bet, just Texas. Don't know why. Philly and Pitt in Philly. Pitt 115, 8.5. We got Scanes. Scanes 3-4 at the 2.63, and Mike Abel for Philly. Mike first round draft pick from Oregon. Doesn't say the college he went to. Maybe he didn't go to college. No pitching staff. So the guy's so he's 24 years old. Never pitched before. What do we do with this? So we're gonna have to be on. See, it's hard to go under. Well, they won't hit Scanes. Pitt can't. Okay, we're gonna go under 8.5. We'll go 2 units. So let's hope Scanes shuts them out. Problem is Abel and the other guys. So this is where I always get confused. Do I just take Scanes or do I go under? This Mike Abel is 0, but he hasn't pitched ever. It's in Philly. Philly can hit the ball, as we know, but you're not hitting Scanes for a lot. So, yeah, I got to go under thinking 3-0 or something like that. Philly might score. Atlanta and Boston. Atlanta 125, 9.5. Spencer Swellenbach 2-3, 3.31. Brian Bello 2-0 with the 2.33. And after what I saw yesterday, we're going over 9.5. Even though the pitchers are decent, 2.33, 3.31, not in Fenway. And not what I saw yesterday. They both can just hit the ball. So I'm going over 9.5. Washington, Baltimore. We had Washington. They won easy. Baltimore fired their manager yesterday. Baltimore minus 185, 9.5. Michael Sirocco, 0-2 with the 6.43 against Zach Eflin, 3-1 with the 3.13. Yeah, I can see why Baltimore is favored, but they can't hit. Sirocco with the 6.43. Washington got 7. Baltimore got shut out. Well, let's go over here. Let's go Washington. Over 9.5. I don't know. This is more of a stab in the dark. I can't take Washington with the 6.43 ERA. Zach Eflin, okay, 3-1 with the 3.13. You got a new manager, but you don't got much hitting. So we will go over on it. Detroit and Toronto. Detroit 30-16. Toronto 22-23. Toronto minus 125, 8.5. Jackson Jobby 3-0 with the 4.32. Jose Berrios. Do we dare go over again today? I think we will, but we're going to call it Toronto over. The normal Tiger team hits. I don't know what happened yesterday. Job's terrible. 3-0 with the 4.32. Berrios 101 with the fours. There should be runs scored here. Toronto's got a couple of really good hitters, and then the guy who hit the home run looked good enough to me. Tampa Bay 21, Miami 24, Miami 17-27. Tampa Bay minus 158.5. Shane Baz 3-2, 502 for Tampa. I thought he was better than that. Cal Quinn 12, 2-4, 7. All right, we're going over again. Miami over 8.5. We should go 2 units. Yeah, we're going to go 2 units. If at first you don't succeed, try again. Tampa with 4 hitters. Miami with 6 hitters. So we will see if they got 4 hitters and 6 hitters. Cleveland and Cincinnati. Cincinnati minus 130.9. They seem to be favored a lot and lose a lot. I don't know if they're fixed or just not as good as they look. Luis Ortiz 2-4 at the 4.78 against Andrew Abbott 2-0 with the 2.10. What do we have yesterday? Cincy over 10 didn't cover. We'll go Cleveland under 9. They're just not hitting. Andrew Abbott's got a 2.10 ERA. Let's see. Ortiz 4.78. And as we see, the four ERAs are throwing shutouts. So, that's where it gets difficult. Is the play you should play it. They're going to give up runs. That's why they got a 4.78 ERA, and then they throw shutouts, and you're like, so it just shows you it's an average. So they can still throw shutouts, and then they're going to give up 7-8 runs, and probably mostly that's who they played. If they played a good hitting team like Arizona, the Dodgers, Philadelphia, they're going to have a higher ERA, but then when they get in against the weaker teams, they're going to throw shutouts. So that's what I'm going to accumulate it to, but I don't, it's just that day. Are they on? Are they off? Where are they playing? Are they at home or on the road? And this is the problem with it. So you're trying to, there's so many variables. The problem is, though, it's so many games and it's every day that makes it difficult. Which is why we like football. It's once a week. So I can deep dive football and I know what's important and what isn't. And I don't take averages in football. Where here I'm, what's the manager, what's the lineup going to be? Who's the bullpen guys? You don't know from day to day, and it's ridiculous. I look at the closer, and the guy's got a 10 ERA, and you're like, this is your closer? Seriously? How dumb is the manager, right? See, it's all analytics. So, it's a lefty, and he's lefty, even though his ERA sucks. It's like when they pinch hit with the guy who's got 100 ERA batting average for the guy with the 300 batting average. You're like, what are you doing? He's only got a 100 average, even if against any, and that's just against, let's say he's a right-handed hitter. He's got a 100 average only facing left-handers. What are you kidding me? Okay. Cleveland. Okay. Minnesota, Milwaukee. Had Minnesota yesterday. They got the win. Milwaukee 157.5. Again, that's the pitchers. Zebby Matthews, 0-0 with an 0-0, a new pitcher for Minnesota. Milwaukee, Freddie Peralta, 4-3 with the 2.66. So again, we really don't know what Minnesota is going to be because we don't know who Zebby Matthews is. Peralta should be good. So we'll take Milwaukee to win. I just find, and then again, you hope Peralta goes 7-8. I don't understand. They're getting pulled with like 80 pitches now. They're not even going to 100. What are these managers insane? That's why 3 got fired, and because they're using analytics and it doesn't work. 3 got fired. We're only in May, and the way it's going, you're getting another 5 fired. All right, so Milwaukee. We'll take Milwaukee with Peralta. All right. St. Louis, KC, low scoring game, which we didn't think would be. St. Louis 115-8. Matthew Liberatore 3-3 with a 3.11. Michael Wakaka 3-4 with a 2.96. So we'll go under St. Louis under 8, and I'm not betting it. The White Sox and the Cubbies killed them. The Cubbies a big favorite today, 295, 7.5. Jonathan Cannon, 2-4 to 3.60. Colin Ray, 3-0. I keep thinking he's a good pitcher and he'll do it. So the total is 7.5. I don't know. They'll score 15 runs. Yesterday was a big. What did we have yesterday? The Cubbies. We had the Cubbies over 10 and it won. Now they're 7.5. Colin Ray, good pitcher. Cannon, I don't think Chicago has good pitching. They got terrible bullpen. Let's go to Cubbies. And we'll go 2 units here. Oakland and San Francisco. San Francisco 158.5. Jeffrey Springs 5-3, 4.27 against Verlander. Here we go. 0-3 with a 4.31, bringing that ERA down. I got a bet under here. 49ers under 8.5. We'll go 2 units because it's Master Verlander. Springs isn't, but the Niners aren't hitting. So let's see. My friend asked me about Verlander. Was he still good? Or maybe it was Prophet yesterday. And I'm like, yeah, I mean, he can still get it done when he wants to. Like I said, if he gets embarrassed, he's going to. So let's take him at home. He should pitch well. He's going to play for every team. It'll be funny. Colorado, Arizona played a 26 game yesterday, 14-12. Arizona 309. Chase Dolliner 2-4 with a 6.88. Merrill Kelly 4-2, 3.71. We'll go Arizona over 9. We'll go 2 units on that one. I just find that Colorado scored 14 runs. That teams do get hot. Maybe they like playing in Arizona. Seattle, San Diego. I've taken San Diego, and they've lost the first 2. I haven't bet on them, though. I didn't really like that. San Diego, 145, 7.5. We got Ric Flair, Brian Wu, 4-1, 2.84 against Michael King, 4-1. There we go. So we're going to go under 7.5, and this will be 3 units. California against the Dodgers 220, not 320, and 9. Yuki Kikuchi 0-4 to 3.72 against Tony Gonzalez, 2-0 with a 2.81. I'll take the Dodgers here. And the Mets and the Yankees. Yankees 175, 8.5. Peterson 2-2 for the Mets, 3.05 ERA. Max, the Anvil Fried, 6-0 with the 1.11. We're going NY Yankees under 8.5, and this will be 3 units. They won't hit Fried. 6-0 with the 1.11, but Peterson's good, so I'll go under instead of Fried. And the Yankees are only minus 175. All right, so we found some bets at the end. Here's the place. Texas, Pitt under 8.5. Boston over 9.5. Washington over 9.5. Toronto over 8.5. Miami over 8.5. Cleveland under 9. Milwaukee, St. Louis under 8. The Cubs, the 49ers under 8.5. Verlander, Arizona over 9. San Diego under 7.5. Ric Flair going in that game for Seattle. The Dodgers and the Yankees under 8.5. Max Fried, 6-0 with a 1.11. The bets, Pitt under 8.5. Paul Scanes. Miami over 8.5. Not Paul Scanes. The Cubbies, 2 units. 49ers, Verlander under 8.5. 2 units. Arizona over 9. 2 units. San Diego, Ric Flair going under 7.5. 3 units. And the Yankees under 8.5, 3 units with Max Fried going. So we got all the aces going today. Scanes and Verlander and Fried and Wu. Even the Dodgers, Tony Gonzalez, 2-0 with a 2.81. We got a lot of good. This is the difference. I'm seeing San Diego, Seattle, Wu, 284, King, 232. And then you get to some of these other games. Colorado, Chase Dolliner, 2-4 with a 6.88. What is he doing in the league? I get the guys with the 2 ERA. Those are professionals. We are betting on them. We're not betting on Chase Dollinger. I mean, we're taking the game over because they scored 25 runs yesterday. But I don't love Merrill Kelly, but 6.88. Then you got the White Sox. Oh, that's not bad. Pretty good pitching today. St. Louis, KC, 311 against 296. Freddie Peralta, Milwaukee, 266. Andrew Abbott, Cincinnati, 210. Then you get Tampa, Miami, 502 against the 7. Like, what is Cal Quantrill doing out there? 2-4 with a 7 ERA. Max Fried, 6-0 with a 1.11 ERA. Yeah, a little difference there. Detroit, everybody, all these Detroit, Jackson Joe, yeah, with the 4.32 ERA. Reese Olson's ERA is high. And, even Schoolball's not, his ERA is much higher than it looks because he's beating the easy teams. Washington, 6.43 against Baltimore, 3.13. Atlanta, Boston, 3.31 against the 2.33. Scanes, 2.63. Doesn't deserve 3 and 4, but they don't hit. And the Houston, Texas game, 3.54 and 4.34. So you have much better pitchers, and we're getting into May, so they're now pitching in their 9th, 10th game. So the ERAs adjusted for Verlander gave up 6 to the Yankees, and then has a lot of giving up 1 and 2 runs. So his ERA is probably like a 1.5 or 2. You can't discount the Yankee game, but you realize it was one bad game he had against the Yankees, which caused his problem. All right, so that's baseball. Feel pretty good about it. Basketball I gave you yesterday. Basketball today, we got OKC laying 8.5, 213.5. I don't know totals well enough in basketball to give it. I like Denver plus 8.5. It's a game 7. Both teams back against the wall. The home team usually does better because the role players don't play well on the road. Just ask AC Reed, Norm Nixon, Danny Ainge. So I don't know, just the fact that it's a 7 games, it's an even series, right? 3-3. Denver won a championship. I don't know how this guy, your center shooting 3-pointers, the coach should be fired for that. I don't want my center shooting 3-pointers. If it's my team and my center shooting 3-pointers, he's on the bench. It's called the paint. Get in the paint. I'd show him a bunch of Wilt Chamberlain and Kareem highlights and saying, do that. Don't do this, do that. So we'll see. It's on 3:30 ABC. Actually, we can watch the game. So there you go in basketball. Golf. All of a sudden, there was nobody, and all of a sudden, there's players. Scott Scheffler is leading at 11 under. Alex Jordan is 8. And then a guy named Vegas, which has got to be good, is 6 under. John Rahm at 6 under. Tony Finau, he sucks. Bryson DeChambeau is an idiot. He's got 187 yards with the crosswind, and he hits a 9-iron. Excuse me? Are you out of your fucking mind? And of course, he puts it in the water. He hits it short into the water. Well, first of all, the guy has absolutely no intelligence because what is the first thing you do? You don't go for the hole. You take the water out of play, which means I'm going to add a club no matter what I think I'm going to hit. I'm better off long than short. I'm not trying to hit it within 3 feet of the hole. It's 187-yard par three, I guess, or maybe it was a second. No, I think it was a par three. What are you doing? You didn't take the water out of play. You hit it in the water. You didn't take the wind into play. It reminds me of the 12th at Augusta. It's short hole, but everybody missed clubs because they don't judge the wind. So the guy doesn't know how to think. He's too muscle bound. You don't want to be muscular in golf. That's why Lee Trevino and Chichi Rodriguez and even Nicklaus and Palmer weren't really muscle bound. This guy's muscle bound. What is he, insane? This is not a sport. You don't want big muscles. You want thin muscles because you're looking at club head speed. You're not looking at lifting a weight. So I don't know what this guy's doing out there. He doesn't appear to have a brain and has got the worst putting stroke I've ever seen. He puts his arms straight. You can't putt like that. You putt just like you hit a baseball. You bend your elbows, and it's a feel. He has no feel. One of the worst putters I've ever seen. Just the whole setup is ridiculous. So I don't know how he's even in the tournament, and I really don't know how he's even on tour. He apparently can't think. He misses the whole concept of golf, which is you avoid trouble. Where's the trap? Oh, hit it to the other side. Oh, there's the trees. Hit it to the other side. Here's the water. Avoid the water at all costs. That's a 2-shot penalty. And he puts it in the water and double bogeys, and I'm laughing my ass off because anybody that stupid shouldn't even be playing professional golf, more or less even minor golf. So I don't really like this Scott Scheffler guy. Seems pompous to me, not stoic, although he's trying to be stoic. He's trying to be quiet, but he comes off like an idiot. And I hate that, he's the number one player in the world. Well, yeah, I don't think so. I don't know that you can do it. I would say Rory's better than him. He choked in the Masters and Rory won it. Rory's playing like crap, but that shows you it depends on the golf course. Sorry, I'm just sneezy, draining a little bit. So look at Rory at the Masters. He wins it. Look at him here. He's like 2 over. That's why you can't be the number one golfer. It doesn't compute. It's the different courses. So the guy wins a little. Never really heard of the guy, nor do I want to. I'm not going to watch for him like I would watch for Nicklaus or Palmer or those guys. Nicklaus was on, and Johnny Miller and those guys I'd be watching. But Scott Scheffler, who the hell are you? I don't like him at all. Just not. No, there's no charisma. There's no class. He's a crybaby. Not my cup of tea. But what gets me is how the announcers, he's the number one player in the world. I'm going, man, it's a pretty shitty world if this guy's number one. All right. Enough of that crap. Let's go to economics. Hey, Prophet. Good morning. I was watching this. This is a stoic thing. Female nature versus male. And it's really pretty good. What it explains is The females here for today, they're very emotional. Our whole alignments are different. We think we need the female. She's attractive. We want her love. Like we need her, but it's all fantasy. It's not reality. Yeah, she's pretty. So that's why we want the pretty girl, but it's a fantasy. All they want is to have kids and be protected, be safe, but that's it. And then it fades out. That's why there's all the divorce, because the girl you marry and the girl 5 years into it are totally different girls. And that's the problem with it. So everybody sees the pretty girl, boy, I'd like to have that. Yeah, for about 5 minutes. After that, you don't want her because she's not, watch the video. It's good. It'll explain it better, but she's not, your interests aren't aligned. You need her because, oh, I want a girl. I'm alone. I want a girl. She doesn't look at it that way. She looks at it defensively that um, I need to be taken care of. I need to be kind of protected because I can't use physical strength because I'm a girl. So I use my mind and my instincts. So girls are more instinctive. So as long as they feel they need you, they'll stick around. And when they feel that they don't need you anymore, or you can't provide, or you're not there, the image changes. And then she looks for the other guy who can, you know, keep her going, survive, and stuff like that. So this is why everything changes. This is why you have most of your divorces. Is we see girls differently than girls see us. There's a whole different game being played by the girl versus by us. It's just nature. They're looking for survival and they're looking for now, and we're looking for the future. Oh, this is great. Oh, I could marry her. Look how pretty she is. And I'll marry her for 20 years. And, it can only work if you don't really need her, right? If you're stoic and you're strong and you don't care if you have her or not, you're comfortable with yourself. I got myself. I'm fine with myself. I don't need her, but I want her. So as long as you don't put her on a pedestal and you're equal and you're there for her, sort of like me and Daria, then everything works. It's when you're attracted to her and you need her. Once you need her, you're done. You cannot need her. You've got to be strong on your own. And she just happens to be there. Then you're okay with it. Then it works because you won't change, right? You'll still be solid and she'll be attracted to solid and then it'll work. But she's looking at short term and we're looking at long term. We're looking at beauty, but we know the beauty fades. She's looking at, I want to have a kid and take care of me. And that's basically what's happening. So very interesting. This Carl Jung is a Swedish psychiatrist. He's kind of stoic, but he's good at understanding human behavior. So I definitely would recommend this. I think it'd give you some good insight on our case, to women, for women's case to men, but we're not thinking the same. We're thinking long term and they're not. They're thinking short term. That's why you'll see hot girls with average guys. You're like, what's she doing with him? Because he's there for her for her needs. That's what it is. That's how you see that. So anyway, pretty good video. Let's see. I was just starting to watch this. This is not about Warren Buffett. This is about silver. And we already know everything about silver. All right, let's see. So I showed you Mark McGuire the Friday, and I showed you some Egon yesterday. We can go watch a little bit of Egon, although I probably showed it to you a few weeks ago. I talked to you about the Nazi tunnel. They dug a 100-mile tunnel in Poland and hid their gold and silver and paintings and important stuff. So what the Nazis did was make tunnels. So you'd never know where it is or what it is. They did it in Spain, Argentina, everywhere. I'm sure a lot in Germany. We know the Hitler bunker had 7 exits. So the odds of him dying in the bunker are 0. People like that who are millionaires, who have all this gold and silver, are not committing suicide. And believe me, they're smart enough to figure a route out, and that's what he did. So he ended up in Argentina just because he had dental records. Yeah, they couldn't be fake, could they? So that to me is just bullshit, the dental record thing. You know, I've seen enough where they can switch dental records and think it's one guy versus the other. So they did a lot of that hiding, which was good. Mark McGuire, he was confirmed July 1st is the Basel III date, even though the other girl said it's not real. I told her to go fuck off. Stop doing false videos. Don't do a video that says Basel III is not real when it is. I don't know what your point and purpose are and what you're doing, but if you want people to watch you, you have to be honest. I was asked about that by some guy. I want to do what you do. How do you do it? How do you get all the subscribers and viewers and that? And I go, well, first of all, I'm honest. Secondly, I'm very good at what I do. At that time, I wasn't doing much economics, but for football. And it says you got to give winners. You got people. There's got to be a reason to watch you. So you must be honest, but you must be good at what you're doing if you're predicting. I says, if you don't know how to predict, it doesn't matter. Nobody will follow you. This girl, if you're going to keep lying and saying there is no Basel III, sorry, we're not going to watch you anymore. Like, Andy Scheckman, I don't watch anymore. He's so full of shit and he just talks about nothing. Alligator, I'm getting tired with because he doesn't really understand. He does answer the question. Maybe I'll show you this question. The guy asked him point blank about. He asked him point blank about why did the. So he's on this one.
Ultrafire cervical care pillow.
And the guy asked him why, if everybody's buying gold, why did gold go down? And it's obvious because they're trying to get out of the derivatives. So that's why you have to understand what comex is. It's a bunch of options. That's why I show you trading places. That's all it is options. So they're shorting it because they're idiots. They don't want to play physical. They want to play paper. I don't know why they want to play paper. They should be in physical. And that's kind of what Bitcoin is paper. It's not physical. How could it be? They don't exist. There is no Bitcoin that exists. There's no coin. I love how they call it Bitcoin or the digital gold. First of all, Bitcoin is not real. It's not a coin, and it is not digital gold. How could it be? So it's just amazing. Excuse me. Now, at least no blood's coming out. It's just amazing how that is, that people think, let's see, how people think it's real. It's not. I mean, paper gold's probably more than that. Let's see. I don't know. Anyway, let's watch a little of this. But I mean, basically, it's not real. The only real thing is physical. Physical gold. This is real because it's physical. You can see it and hold it. If it's not something you can see and hold, what's the Muriel Lemieux card? If it was digital, you wouldn't be able to answer that. What does it look like? I don't know. It's digital. This is the problem with digital. People think digital is real. And they'll say, well, that's the internet. And you're going, well, but we can see the internet. I can see YouTube, right? I'm on YouTube giving a class. I can see it. You can't see Bitcoin. You can't feel it, see it. You don't know what it even looks like. How can you think it has a value? You're starting to value things that aren't there. That's a problem. So I don't care what you think it's worth. It's not real. All right, let's watch a little bit of Alligator, and then we'll go back to Egon. In the meantime, just in case, so I was at breakfast yesterday with Alyssa, and we went to a Coney Island, and it was very expensive. And so I ordered an omelet was I think $11.99 or $13.99. Let's say $11.99. That's still $13 for a 3-egg omelet, 3-egg Western omelet that I used to pay $6.99 for, I believe. And so I ended up getting 2 eggs with bacon and hash browns. And she wouldn't substitute the toast for me. And so that was like $8.49, which is reasonable. More so than the omelet so the omelet's $3 more because it has 1 egg. God, I keep sneezing with my bloody nose that hopefully isn't bloody. So she won't make the substitution of the toast. I don't want carbs, so I don't want toast. I don't mind the eggs. I don't mind the bacon. I don't love the hash browns, but okay. So at the end of the meal, I go, your prices are over market, just like that. And I knew she wouldn't understand. Well, what do you mean? Your prices are too high. The market doesn't want to pay $12 for an omelet. You got to keep it at $7, $8. And she says, oh, then she starts, then it's an argument. She's trying to defend her market. And I'm saying, she says, well, around here, this is a good price. And I said to her very bluntly, you're not listening. I'm telling you, your price is too high. This is not an argument. This is not a conversation. This is me telling you, your price is too high. I'm not looking for a response from you. I don't want a response from you. I see your response. $11.99 for an omelet. A salad's like $12, $13. Are you out of your fucking mind? This is a Coney Island. This is not, a nice restaurant. And that's the problem. Go to a nice restaurant, probably get a $13 salad. And if I'm going to get a $13 omelet, it's going to be a lot better than the crap you're going to serve me. So again, she doesn't understand the market. And I'm telling her what the market is. You're too expensive. And she's arguing about what the market is. I'm like, how can you argue about the market? Anyway, that was yesterday's lunch. And again, why we tend to eat at home more than eat out. Because, like I said, I can buy a dozen eggs for $4.99, and basically it's $1.25 for an omelet because I can make 4 omelets out of that dozen. And the whole thing's costing me $4, and you're costing me 12. An omelet's an omelet. You're putting a little bit of onion and green pepper in it, and I can put a whole big thing of broccoli and red and yellow pepper, which is better, and cayenne pepper and Celtic salt and olive oil. So I'm all over you. Anyway, let's watch little Mark McGuire or little Alligator.
About 2% is now up I mean, it's a swing of $100. China and other Eastern nations, they're continuing to get hold of virtually every ton of gold that becomes available. We've got this credit bubble. It's the largest credit bubble in history. This bubble is ripe to pop. The situation in many senses is very similar to 1929. Bullion banks were queuing up to take gold out of the Bank of England vaults. The open interest on comex, it is very, very low, which tells us that these sort of games, if you like, are now facing the law of diminishing returns. If there is a shortage of gold in London, then the lease rate should rise. The liquidity has very much come from leasing central bank, leasing of central bank gold with the lunatic policies coming out of America. This has basically united the ASEAN nations. It's actually strengthened China's hand in the geopolitical sense enormously.
Alistair, I hear that May was a record month for contracts at the COMEX being taken in physical gold and also physical silver. Given the ever-increasing demand for metals by central banks, why is the price still being pushed down by over $100 for gold in a couple of days?
Okay, that's the question I want to ask.
Thanks.
Why is that? See, that's what nobody understands, because it's not a physical market. It's not physical gold. In a physical, real market, as I just discussed with the eggs, you would see the price go up. But because we're in a paper market with derivatives and options, they're shorting it to get out of their positions. That's why the price is dropping, even though the demand's up, because it is not a physical market. It is not based on demand and everything. So you must understand that little piece there is it's a total, it's not physical. It's not priced at market. All right, let's hear Alligator's answer.
Price still being pushed down by over $100 for gold in a couple of days.
Well, I mean, it was the May contract, actually, I think, which, has seen record deliveries. But I mean, the answer to that is that it's actually a separate issue. If you've got a short position in the futures market, you'll be what they call the swaps, but basically a bullion bank trader. You're taking the short side. So, okay, if you've got to actually deliver something at the end of the day, you might, that's one problem. But basically, you're trying to close your short position. So what do? You bang the market. When things go quiet, you just bang the market and take the stops out. And that's what's been going on. It's as simple as that.
Why is nobody shouting about this blatant market rigging? Look, record physical gold and...
So what he means when he says take the short position is you're shorting it, right? And you're getting out of your short. So you shorted it to get the price down, but you need to buy it, like Eddie Murphy, right? They sold the orange juice at 142 and bought it back, and it went down to 29. You have to do both. So if they've shorted it at 3,200, which is probably what's happening, they have to then buy it. So it's been shorted down, then they'll be bought at 31.30, and then it goes back up, and they get out of the derivative. So what they're trying to do is get out of their derivative or their option. They're trying to get out of their option. That's the point of what's happening. That's why you see the price go down, because it has to go down so they could get out of there. Because if you're in it at 3,200, that means you're selling at 3,200. You got to buy cheaper because you've already sold. So if I sell orange juice at 142, I gotta buy it less than 142. So it's a reverse. So I'm buying it at 29. I sold it already at 142. So in an option, you're selling first and then you're buying. So you want to buy low and sell high, but you got to do it reverse. So at 200, you're selling the option, and then at at 3,200, you're sold the option. So you buy it back at 31.30. But if it's at 3,400, you're fucked because you can't buy it back because you've sold it at 3,200 and it's 3,400. So what they're trying to do is get out of their options. As the guy is saying, why is it legal? Because the banks are running the government. That's why.
Silver demand by central banks means real money wants out of the fake paper games. But instead of prices rising, they're crashing gold by over $100 in days. This isn't a market, it's a calculated hit job. The bullion banks, those swaps, they short the futures market, then slam the price down when no one's watching to wipe out the small guys. This is manipulation on steroids, a show of power.
Well, it's not to wipe out the small guys. It's got nothing to do with that. They're just simply buying it because they sold it already at a lower price and they can't buy it at a higher price. I can't sell it at 10 and buy it at 15. Wait a minute, you bought it 15, you sold it 10, you lost $5. So that's what's happening. It's not the little guys. How many little guys are in comex in the first place? But if they are in it, they're not getting the little guys out. They know what's going on. So this commentator really is a little clueless, but that was the question I wanted you to
The
ask.
financial elite to keep control at any cost. But hold on tight. What he says next. That's where the squeeze starts to get real.
Look at the outstanding interest, the open interest on comex. It is very, very low, which tells us that these sort of games, if you like, are now facing the law of diminishing returns. And I would suggest, it's fascinating watching the performance today. This is Thursday, what day are we? Thursday, the 15th. Overnight, prices were marked down very, very heavily. Now, I would suggest that there is some indigestion, if you like, in the Shanghai futures market, Shanghai Gold Futures Exchange. Overnight, we've seen this a few times during Shanghai trading hours. So that indigestion was continuing, and it drove down gold and silver quite hard. But then what happens this afternoon, our time, sort of mid-morning your time? Suddenly it rallies, and as I speak, I see gold, having been down about 2%, is now up 1.4%. It's a swing of $100 on the upside. Now, this sort of thing, I guess, we don't know until we see tomorrow, but I guess on not much volume, is indicative of a squeeze on the swaps. I think they are being very, very badly squeezed.
Ask yourself, who really wins when these wild swings hit the market? Open interest on comex is tanking, meaning fewer players can play this rigged game. That's the law of diminishing returns on manipulation. Now, watch this. Overnight, Shanghai futures dump gold hard, pushing prices down. But suddenly, out of nowhere, gold rockets back up $100, flipping from -2% to 1.4%. On low volume, no less. That's not luck. That's the swaps getting squeezed hard. The big banks who've been shorting gold to keep the system alive are now feeling the heat. They're getting crushed. This battle is far from over.
If you've got pink salt, apple cider vinegar, and baking soda in your kitchen and you're not using this recipe,
Heat. They're getting crushed. This battle is far from over. What happens next? Brace yourself. The fallout could blow the roof off.
How much more gold does either the Bank of England or the LBMA have that is considered deliverable and not belonging to some other entity?
We don't actually know the answer to that. The liquidity has very much come from leasing central bank, leasing of central bank gold. That was clear, and it was proved by the fact that bullion banks were queuing up to take gold out of the Bank of England vaults. These are banks which have accounts with the Bank of England. So it's possible for them to store some of their gold there, but they would tend not to. Therefore, at least a large amount of the gold that came out of the Bank of England was effectively leased gold, and it was taken by bullion banks who were benefiting, if you like, from the spread between futures, which were trading at a huge rate, interest rate premium. By interest rate, I mean compared with the gold lease rate. It was a simple interest rate arbitrage. Now, that has now stopped. And if you look at the COMEX warehouse gold stocks, they've now begun to decline. So that process is over. Furthermore, it was only week before last, I was in London. visiting someone in Throgmorton Street, behind the Bank of England, the doors were firmly shut. There's nothing going in or out. So I think that process is over.
Ever wonder how much real gold is actually left in these vaults? The truth? Nobody knows.
Well, the truth is, whose gold is it? In your Fort Knox, it's not U.S. gold. In London, it's more than likely China's gold also. Like our gold's China's gold if you go into Fort Knox. London's is also probably China's because there's no reason to take delivery of it. You just own it. So they bought the gold and they said, well, you just keep it in your vault. We know there's 1,000 tons of my gold in your vault, but they're okay with it. That's what happened from World War II. They were afraid that Hitler would steal it, so they moved it to England and they moved it to New York. But it was their gold. It's just for safekeeping. That's why what Germany wanted, there were 300 tons back, and the U.S. said, "Well, it'll take 7 years." We're like, "But what are you doing?" So what the U.S. did was took the German gold, and then they sold it to China or something, and then they had to buy it back because Germany you can't just ignore 300 tons, so they had to buy 300 tons and give it to Germany, and Germany's like, "This isn't ours. We had, our own little flag on it, or in German, and the ones you gave us were not, and were they even 999 or not?" So the U.S. buckies around, and so does London, but the gold isn't even theirs. That's the point of it. It's not like going to the store and I go and there's 5 ounces of gold and I know it's his and I can buy it. You can't do it. That's why people are going to Comex and taking delivery. In my honest opinion, there isn't any gold left to buy. It's gone. And therefore, you go on Comex and you ask for gold delivery. So you buy the option and you say, I want to take delivery of the gold, because not only are you getting the spot price, but where else can you find the gold? Nobody has it. China's got 60,000 tons. They're not letting it go. When you get done with Russia, Saudi Arabia, and India, it's another 60,000, 120,000 of the 200,000. And the central banks are buying the rest. So there's not a lot out there. So if you want to buy it, you've got to go to Comex. If you're a central bank, you go to Comex and say, I want 10 tons. And you got to use the contract, and you go and you say, fine, I'll take the contract. You let it run down because you get it cheaper. And then you say, fine, I'll buy it at 3160 or now 3,200. It's 3,200 right now. I'll buy it at 3,200 because I can't find it for 3,200 in the marketplace because it's much higher, because nobody wants to sell it because they know it's worth a lot more than Comex with the bullshit prices. That's the thing. That's why they do it. And then they want to take delivery. The problem is U.S. and London have no gold to deliver. And that's what July 1st is about. It's forcing the U.S. to deliver the gold to the countries that want the gold because they can't get it. They can't go to my guy's store and say, I want 5 tons of gold. I mean, they got 5 ounces, but hardly 5 tons. So that's what it is. So Alligator's, I'm losing a lot of respect for him. He doesn't really know what he's talking about anymore. And he answers it very vaguely, if you notice, when he doesn't know. Oh, I don't, it's good. We really don't know. What kind of answer is that, Alligator? You're supposed to be the legend in your own
Has been a
mind.
house of cards built on leased central bank gold, with bullion banks lining up to pull from the Bank of England's vaults like it's an all-you-can-eat buffet. But leased gold is not yours. It's collateral, a borrowed asset used to cover bets. That arbitrage window has slammed shut. And here's the kicker. Physical gold stocks in COMEX warehouses are dropping. I was there. The vault doors shut tight. No gold coming in. This isn't speculation. This is a warning. The real gold supply to back this financial mess is drying up fast. And what that means for your retirement savings. You better listen carefully, because this next part gets even darker.
But it does raise the question, quite rightly, that, how much liquidity is actually left within the system here? Because
waking up sore and stiff, your pillow might be to blame.
Commercial.
Today, I would like to introduce this neck pillow.
Shut up.
how much liquidity is actually left within the system here? Because we get vault reports from LBMA authorized vaults, as it were, and they have declined a little bit, but not hugely. But most of the gold there is owned by someone, as opposed to being, if you like, the liquidity for the bullion banks to draw upon. So it's an interesting. It's a question we would all like to know the answer to. My guess is there is less liquidity there than the numbers would suggest. Quite a lot less liquidity. I wouldn't be surprised if we're looking in the hundreds of tons rather than the thousands of tons. So
what I'm saying is, I don't think there's any gold left to buy. And that's what he's saying. There's hundreds of tons, not thousands of tons left. And I don't even think that. I think it's all gone. I think as the gold was going up, China was just buying it. And now they go to COMEX because it's cheaper. And that's what's going to happen with silver. If there's any silver, and I doubt very seriously there's any silver left. They're just playing this derivative game on COMEX. But once July 1st hits, and then they're going to take delivery and say, I want the silver. That's why COMEX will collapse, because everybody will want to take delivery of something they don't have. It's like selling you a Michael Jordan rookie card. I don't have it. How can I sell it to you? Well, I'll just put it out as an option. And, oh, okay, 500 grand. Well, you know what? I got started. I don't actually have the card. And I'll give you an IOU for it. Well, fuck you. Nobody wants that. So that's what they're doing now, is they don't actually have the physical. And they were playing this paper game to price fix it, but now the game is over. Now that Basel III's come in and you have to deliver the gold to the people buying it, that's it. The game's over. So I don't think COMEX will be around much longer, or not in this form, because they will not have physical gold. The U.S. doesn't have any physical gold. And if you don't believe this 8,000 tons, they don't have 8,000 tons. And that was all stolen from the citizens. That's when they stole the gold in the 30s. But don't look for them to do that now, because they don't think we're smart enough to buy physical. They keep putting us in financial planners, put you in stocks, in real estate, and bonds and annuities. So they're not steering you to gold. So the government doesn't think you have gold anyway. So they're not going after your gold. They would go after the Bitcoin. Good luck there. It's not real. Are you going to put Bitcoin in a vault? So I don't know. That's a private money. That's not real. That's just like this. It's like, I'm going to trade you, I'm going to trade you for one item. I'll trade you a Lemieux rookie. That's Bitcoin, right? What's the value of the Lemieux rookie? And that's why. So sometimes it's forced up because they want to make trades. I want a tank. I'm going to give you a Bitcoin. All right. So let's make the Bitcoin worth 100 grand so we can buy the tank. I mean, that's what kind of it is. It's not real. If you can't see it and you can't touch it, it's a Madoff. And Madoff, I was watching Madoff on Netflix, and I watch it. There's a Madoff on Tubi, and they're like two different shows. I'll tell you. On Netflix, it's all rosy. Oh, he had great kids and a wife, and and then I went on Tubi. This guy's worried about, getting killed. They don't mention that on Netflix. And then they say there was 300 feeder funds feeding into Madoff. That's why the Ponzi scheme could survive, is 300 firms were putting money into him. And then he would take it, and then he'd pay out underneath and keep so much of percent and pay the feeders. And then if you watch the one on Netflix, there was this guy, Villachet, the European guy who was really rich, who kept arguing about, oh, I'm sure Madoff is real. Well, it's got to be real. It's got to be real. Well, what they didn't tell you is he was paid off by Madoff to get the royalty of Europe to invest. So as he got new clients, he got paid for it. Oh, they forgot to tell us that on Netflix. So he brings in all these wealthy aristocrats, princesses, and kings and queens and jacks. He brings into Madoff and got a commission on it. Forgot to tell you that. So that's why, and then he he killed himself because they probably threatened his family. That's what usually happens. That's why Madoff admitted they did the same because they can't do he can't, the feeder funds, everybody was pulling their money because of the 2008 housing crisis. I love how they call it a financial crisis. It wasn't a financial crisis. It was idiots giving mortgages to people that, couldn't spell cat. So that's what happened. So I just wanted to update. So it's a good one. It's probably a better one, the one on Tubi. All right, let's hear a little more of Mark McGuire. We'll go to Egon.
And this is very important, given that the demand from China and other East Asian nations, seem to be continuing apace. They're continuing to get hold of virtually every ton of gold that becomes available. So, the liquidity situation I don't see really improving.
Ask yourself this. Who benefits when the truth about gold liquidity is buried under layers of lies? These official vault numbers, they don't tell the whole story. Sure, gold in the vaults might have only dropped a little, but almost all of it is already owned. It's not free gold sitting on the shelf for banks to use. It's locked down tight. The actual liquidity, way smaller than they admit.
Eating too much salt causes hypertension, right? Nope. What about too much bacon and red meat? Nope. It's
down tight. The actual liquidity, way smaller than they admit. Hundreds of tons, not thousands. Meanwhile, China and East Asia are snatching up every last ounce, draining the system dry.
And Russia.
This isn't just a shortage.
And
it's a
India.
strategic gold heist happening in plain sight. The Western powers are...
It's not a strategic gold heist. It's bricks going on a gold-backed currency, needing gold, realizing you can't print gold. That's the beauty of gold. If you have any type of open-mindedness and intelligence, you would have been buying gold for the last 5 years. I've been telling you to buy gold. Why? Because I knew this was coming. And this is not an opinion. This is what's happening. And so because they keep gold in the vaults, that's not theirs. Like I said, China has some gold in Fort Knox. That doesn't mean it's the U.S.'s gold. And so they can show you a vault with that, but doesn't mean there's gold. There just isn't enough gold. You can't produce it. You cannot print it. It's whatever dug out of the ground, and it's gone because these governments are buying and buying and buying. Only the U.S. is too stupid to buy, so the U.S. doesn't have any. Well, maybe we do, but nobody's telling anybody we do, or they just keep going, well, we got 8,000 tons. I think what they did was they sold it to China, and it's gone. It might still be there, but it's gone. And the gold in your fort and the Federal Reserve in New York that diehard number 3 guy took, I think he actually took it. So I don't, none of it is the U.S. gold. So it's other countries maybe, but now the other countries, India asked for theirs back, Germany asked for theirs back, China will probably ask for theirs if they haven't. So there is not a lot of gold available. That's why I stress to go run and buy it. Even at 3,200, it's a bargain. That's why I said it'll go to 10 grand at least. And now it's priced in U.S. Soon it won't be. It'll be priced in China. China will price gold. And again, who knows what the dollar versus China, who knows what the price is? Because we don't have Chinese dollars here. We have U.S. But if you look at the FX, it's 7-1, right? $1 buys you 7 China. So if China makes it 28,000, then it's $4,000 gold if it stays at 7-1. But that's the point. Where's it going to go? And it's just buy it because you can't print it. It is the security and safety you need. As I was talking to you about women needing the living for today, needing the safety, the security, not physically, but emotionally and everything else. So they want a stoic guy who's Not gonna, I got in a car accident. Yeah, that's okay, honey. That's what you need, and that's what girls need is that comfort of not being afraid that, oh, if I tell my husband, he's going to yell at me. They hate that, and that's why the marriages don't last. But that's how it is. So that's what they want is that. So that's what we want is the gold because it will keep value. You're not going to lose value with gold. You can't because they can't print it to devalue it like they print our dollars. So this, they print and print and print. That's why you can't have it. That's why get out of the stock market. This is why you don't differentiate your portfolio. Why would you differentiate your portfolio? Only if you don't know. In other words, let's say you bet 5 baseball games. And you think, well, I'll probably go 3-2. I'll have losers, but that's it. But I'll have winners. So I will bet baseball like that. And I'll diversify, right? I'll play 5 games instead of 1. Or football. Well, football's different because we can pick 5 winners. But in gold, you don't diversify away out of gold. It's stupid. So you don't want to be in stocks, bonds, annuities, or gold. Right? You don't diversify on the Titanic into the paper. I don't want to be in this, which means I don't want to be in stocks. I don't want to be in Bitcoin. I don't want to be in bonds. I don't want to be in annuities and real estate. I don't want to be in those. Everybody loves real estate. Why? Prices are going down. Nobody can afford to buy them. I'd rather have 10 ounces of gold than a house because my gold's going up. My house is going down because it's priced in this. So you want to get out of everything this is. So diversify your portfolio means gold and silver. That's it, period. So that's what's happening in it. So understand, you really don't want to I'm not diversified. My diversification is this and gold and silver, and that's it. And if you have Rolexes, any real asset that can't be printed, small supply, high demand you'll be fine with.
Losing the grip, but don't expect them to tell you. Stay tuned. The next reveal will shatter your expectations.
Oh boy.
Related question, and these are from 2 different questioners. The same questioner asks, is it I have heard that the Bank of England or the LBMA will no longer send gold to the COMEX for delivery. Is this true? And the second related question is from E. Burkett, 9969. If the USA had hypothetically repatriated 600 plane loads of gold, how would that change the financial landscape of the world and possible initiation of a gold standard?
See, he doesn't know this answer.
As to whether the LBMA and the Bank of England refuse to send any gold over to.
The garden tool that Home Depot and Lowe's do not want you to know about is
There are enough
finally back in
commercials.
stock.
To whether the LBMA and the Bank of England refuse to send any gold over to the other side of the Atlantic. I don't think that's quite the way it works. Basically, if you have gold or you have leased some gold and the opportunity is there, that is what drives the move over. It's actually got nothing to do with the LBMA, so long as the members of the LBMA behave within its rules and regulations. As far as the Bank of England is concerned, there is a problem because if you lease gold, then that gold is your property over the duration of the lease. And it could be that if you lease gold, say for, let's say 5 years or something like that, which, not unusual, I would suggest, then you can pass that gold on to other people, rehypothecate it. Because, why do you have gold? You have gold basically as a bank to use as collateral, to collateralize deals. So I think from both the LBMA and the Bank of England's point of view, they're rather limited in terms of what they can do to discourage gold from flowing across the Atlantic.
Why do you think the Bank of England and LBMA keep their gold so close, but won't outright refuse shipments to COMEX? It's a game of smoke and mirrors. Gold isn't just metal. It's collateral, currency in the shadows. Leased gold can be passed around like a hot potato, rehypothecated multiple times, stacked, loaned, traded to prop up financial bets. The Bank of England's hands are tied because leased gold still belongs to someone during that lease, making blocking shipments tricky. The whole system relies on this endless chain of borrowed gold, propping up a house of cards. The moment those chains snap, the global financial landscape doesn't just tremble, it shatters. And this repatriation talk, that's just the tip of the iceberg. Stick around, because the next part cracks open the real impact.
Oh, really?
The
Okay.
market would probably do it, if you like, insofar as if there is a shortage of gold in London, then the lease rate should rise. And that might generate a bit of interest, if you like, to get gold back. And if you look at the last vaulting figures, I think I'm right in saying that the Bank of England numbers were down a little bit, but the LBMA numbers were up a little bit. No, it's not the total thing, because the LBMA vaults, which are recorded, are vaults within the M25, which is the circular motorway that goes around London. There are other vaults outside, I guess. And also, of course, we've got other vaults in other parts of the world, particularly places like Switzerland and so on. So, this is just part of the whole situation, as it were. And I think it would be a mistake to read too much into fault moves, if you like, changes in faulting levels in London and also in the Bank of England.
Ever wonder why they want you to obsess over these vault numbers like they're gospel? Here's the truth. Slight ups and downs in London's vaults don't mean squat when you look at the bigger picture. Gold vaults inside the M25, just a piece of the puzzle.
All right. Too much of this guy. We don't know who the hell this guy is. Anyway, so that's alligator. Gold just tanked, but the Bank of England's next move will blow your mind. I don't know what the hell he's talking about. On gold crash, wise investor, which I've never heard of before. Usually it's you see alligator and you're just going, well, what bullshit is he gonna do now? And usually if you look at it, buy gold and silver at 1-800-LIBERTY, the whole thing's about buying gold and silver. So you don't know how much to believe in alligator. All right, so
Hello, my name is Adam Ferrari, the Chief
You're-
Executive Officer of Phoenix Energy. I look forward to you.
you're an idiot.
But, as we always warn, it's not for widows and orphans. And the stock market, mirroring the world economy, is going to be down for many, many years, possibly decades, as I said. And therefore, anyone who buys the dips is going to get slaughtered. And in the end, of course, they're going to buy all the way down until they have no more money left. And we've seen that before in history, and it's going to happen now this time again. And it says, as you showing in the article there, biggest buying for 10 years by retail investor. Sadly, they're uninformed and they don't understand what's happening.
And even if the Fed and
So this is the problem with people. They're not getting out of the stock market. They think I don't know where I got this cold from. They're not getting out of the stock market. People think no matter what, the stock market goes down, it goes back up. It did it in the 2000 tech. It did it in 1987. It did it in 2008. Stocks went down, they came back up. And a lot of that was due to the printing of the money. Yeah, I'm starting to bleed again. Hopefully not too bad. So people don't understand. They just buy stocks because they know it goes up. What they don't understand is the variables change, called bricks, called gold, called inflation. So the biggest thing is the dollar is worthless, so the stocks are worthless because you can't print it to death. And that's what they keep trying to do, is print the dollar to death, and then, well, stocks are valued in dollars and they're not backed by anything. All right, you own Microsoft. Okay, so it is you're buying the company, but what's the company selling? In dollars. And people aren't going to be able to afford computers or, tennis shoes, all this stuff they're not going to afford. And like I was saying about the restaurant, I mean, you're not going to get a lot of people in to spend $12 on an omelet. That's what I mean when I say you're over market. It's not can I afford it or not. It's the market not going to want to buy it. And mine was the perfect example. I ended up buying 2 eggs with hash browns and bacon out to 3. But that's the thing. As the money becomes worthless, people aren't going to keep paying your high prices. We know your prices are high, and I don't care if your costs went up. You can't. In other words, I'm 10 steps ahead of this lady at the restaurant yesterday going, you're over market, which means that the market will pay $7, $8 for an omelet, not 12, and especially at a Coney Island. And that's what she couldn't understand. I can go buy a dozen eggs for $5, let's say $4.50, whatever, and go make, with a dozen eggs, and go make, and go make 3 omelets or 4 omelets with a dozen eggs. So for $5, they get 4 omelets. You're charging 12 because of the inflation and the price going down. Well, let's say they're a McDonald's. Well, they're $20 for a meal now. People aren't going to it. That hurts their stock. Nothing good can happen in the stock market. The fact it goes down is people are selling, mostly foreigners who have money in U.S. dollars and the U.S. stock market. So the Germans who have money in the U.S. stock market, so they don't want their money in euro, is now rethinking, going, maybe I shouldn't be in this U.S. stock market because the dollar is bad and the debt's gone and the inflation's high. And that's the one thing they really try to hide, is the inflation. Oh, it's 3%. In what world is the inflation 3%? Not any real world, that's for sure. Inflation is again, you can't measure it in a percentage. It's inflating the supply of money. It is not prices. Inflating the supply of money makes the value of the money go down, which then means more money is used to buy a product. So that's why Coke's $3.50 now for a 2-liter, because they're saying, well, we need more money to pay for the 2-liter. And the market either says, well, wait, I'll give you 150, 350. There's no buyers. Oh, well, we'll do 2 for $5. How does that fit? Now it's 250. You're still a little bit over, but I'm getting 2 of them. So maybe you buy that. And this is the problem. I see the dark chocolates are now $4.75 or $4.50 for what I used to pay $2.99 for. And, cocoa apparently is limited. Who knows? But I'm not paying $4.50 for dark chocolate. I just won't eat it. I'll have honey instead, or cinnamon. And that's the problem, is people are not going to react to it. They're not going to just pay. Well, I need dark chocolate, so even if it's $20 a bar, I'll pay it. No. We don't have it to pay. You're very limited on the dollar, and it's worth less, so it buys less than it used to, or more money is needed. How do you come up with inflation on that? You can't. You can't say it's inflation's 3%, 10%, 100%. You can't. And then why do you go year over year? Who's the one that came up with that? Oh, it's year over year inflation. No, it's not. You got to go back to 1971 where a dollar, and you hear that with the movies and the ball games and everything else, where, well, if we measure it in inflation, it's $1 billion, not a million. Well, that's the point. The inflation is when you went off of gold, 1971. And the price then versus the price now is how you measure inflation by prices if you can, but you can't because it's based on how much money's printed and the value of the dollar going down. And what we know is it's gone down 99%, but certainly it's more than 3%. But they'll tell you that. So you'll buy stocks thinking, oh, well, inflation's tame, but inflation's what kills the companies. Well, I can't go out and buy a GM car because they want 50,000 for it now. I'm not paying for that because the money's not worth anything. So you can't. And if you do buy the car, you got $1,000, $1,500 a month in the lease, which you can't afford. And then if you do that, you can't afford food or clothing or anything else because all your money is until you lose your job. And that's why gold's the key, because gold goes up as the dollar goes down, right? As you're inflating and printing more and making the dollar worth less and less, gold goes up. And that's what I'm saying. Gold's worth this, but COMEX isn't playing fair. It says gold's only worth that. And silver, well, silver's only worth this. No, silver's up here. Silver's 1,000 an ounce if it's anything. Well, it's 32 on COMEX because they're not. They're just fucking around with you. It's not real. That's not the real price, and that's what we're trying to get to, and that's what July 1st gets you to. That's the only thing that will keep value. While your stocks aren't going to keep value, they're going to crash because people are going to need money. It's Madoff, right? Why did Madoff fail? Because it crashed. Because people needed money from the 2008 housing crisis. So people are losing money. They go to Madoff. I need my money. I'm losing money. I need it. And not, that's why it crashed. And that's the key to it. So it's not about, that's what's going to happen in the stock market, right? The people will need their money, are going to sell their stock. And we have 30 or 40% of our stock market is foreign. Well, once they realize they need to get out of dollars, they're gonna sell it because they're gonna need money, and that's when it crashes, and that's very close. It went down a little, and then the government printed money and put it in the market. They printed money, put it into the market as they've been doing because they can keep printing it, which kills the value. And I doubt the dollar's worth anything anyway now. And when they kill it, then what happens, right? It's gone, and people need money. They sell them. What do you sell your assets? Oh, I'm going to sell my stocks. When we get to the point, we might have to sell a few ounces of gold, but not too many. But the ounces keep going up in value, and they're not close to reality. 10,000 gold and 2,000 silver at least. People are running to buy silver because they look at the ratio. And I warn you, do not look at the ratio of 10 to 1. That's not right. Will it get there? I don't know. I wouldn't bet on it. It could go even money. It could go 20 to 1. But I wouldn't buy silver because the gold silver ratio is at 100 to 1, and it really should be 10 to 1. That's because of COMEX. That's because they're price fixing it. You don't. So I'm not buying silver because I know it's going to 10 to 1, and therefore it'll go to, but you don't have a fair gold price or a fair silver price. So when gold hits 10,000, silver hits 1,000. That's your 10 to 1. But will it get there? Right now, why it's at $32 and gold's at 3,200, silver should be 320, but it's not. But that's what July 1st is, and Basel III will be the impetus to push silver up. But I don't know that it's 10 to 1. I'm saying 10,000, 2,000. That's 5-1. But I'm not betting silver because of the ratio. I'm betting silver because it's $32 an ounce, and it should be. But it's price fixed, so it's really much higher. That's what I'm betting silver with, right? I know it's much higher than the 32, so that's all I look at. I don't pay attention to the ratio because it's all fixed anyway. So you don't know what the real ratio is. It's like, it's like the guy hitting 300, but he only hits against lefties, or he's lefty. He only hits against righties. He doesn't hit against lefty. Well, then his average isn't really 300 because that should be an average for both whoever's pitching. So, you got to be careful, but that's why the stock market will fall, because it's mostly foreigners and they're going to want to get out of dollars. So right now they're all brainwashed into thinking that the dollar is safe haven because it's the reserve currency and there's the inflation's 3%. I'll keep my money and I'm going to invest it. And my financial planner says buy stocks or buy annuities. Either way, I'm still in paper and I need to get out. So I that's my portfolio is gold and silver and then some baseball cards. That's how I diversify. And if I had a Rolex, Alyssa said, "You got a Rolex?" I said, "No, I wasn't really into watches. I have a Tag Heuer, but I'd rather own the gold, and the silver is more important to own than the Rolex. I still have to sell the Rolex to get gold and silver. And the question is, would the Rolex have gone up more than it went up more than the gold, but now you'd have to trade it and get gold with it. I'd rather get the gold and then just sit back and watch it go." All right.
Other players can keep up the market in nominal terms, they surely will not beat the gold price. So gold in real terms will surpass, and we have an interesting observation later in this interview. But let's come to the real problem for the Fed. They have to fight, on the one hand, inflation, and on the other hand, they have to support the economy, and this brings them to a conflict they cannot solve it. And therefore, the key topic today, hyperinflationary depression. But let me show first the inflation rate. Here it is, and of course, far away from the 2% the Fed intends to achieve, and what we also expected, and what you
see that this is a joke. 2%. How do you calculate it? Are you looking at eggs that just went up 100%, or Coke that went from $3 to $3.50? Where are you getting 2% from? And why are you using year over year, which is not right? See, so when they say this 2 or 3%, you just laugh because it's just absolutely absurd. There's no way the dollar is only inflated 3%. Maybe if you looked at it for this year, it's 3% in a year, but that's not inflation. It's money printing. Inflating the supply of money is inflation. Very simple. How do you measure that? You can't. How do they come up with 3%? Well, they take these 5 things that don't move and say, there's your inflation number. You're certainly not taking eggs and Coke and McDonald's and this restaurant, this Coney, where it's went from $7 for an omelet to $12 for an omelet. That's not 3%. So I don't know what they're talking about. It's not real. And they're not even measuring inflation properly. And I don't think you can measure inflation. It's really just, the question is, what's the value of the dollar? And that's it. And the value of the dollar has gone down 99%. In my terms, 100%. That's what the question is. How much of what did the value of the dollar go down? Not prices, as if inflation is prices. It's the value of the dollar dropping. So if my value of my dollar dropping, that's all I care about. That's the question. So he's not even answering the right question, and he's not even answering it correctly. This is the danger of when you watch these things and the guy goes 3%, 2%. But that's why you buy the gold and the silver to counter the dollar losing value. The gold and silver goes should go up in a free market, which we don't have. So there's a lot of variables that you've got to understand what's going on here.
Predicted for a long time. The interest rates have turned. We see here the 10-year yield clearly turned and moving upwards. If you look on the long-term perspective, it's even more profound, the low in 2020, and that's not going to come back. So the real yields are increasing and the Fed is in a big dilemma. Fed Chair Jerome Powell said Wednesday that the central bank could find itself in a dilemma between controlling inflation and supporting economic growth. Powell gave no indication on where he sees interest rates headed, but noted that for the time being, we are well positioned to wait for greater clarity before considering any adjustments to our policy stance. I think we will see higher inflation, and that shows already the dilemma.
Yes, absolutely. No, first of all, what Powell said is not what the Fed's mandate is. The Fed has two mandates. One is to keep inflation under control, and two, to support the labor market. There's nothing in the Fed's mandate that says about that create growth in the economy. And of course, you can't, on the one hand, keep inflation under control with higher interest rates, which is the only way they know how to keep it under control, and at the same time boost the economy. And that's the dilemma. And of course, now you have a debt burden which is greater than ever in history, but it's going to grow, as we know. It's going to grow by at least a couple of trillions a year just in the US, for the simple reason that that's the deficit, the annual deficit that is forecast for coming years, and for many years. And I think it's going to be a lot higher, because you're going to have problems in the economy. You will have a government that needs to support the banking system, support people who are suffering, etc. I think the money printing will accelerate, and I think the inflation rate also will accelerate, because you can't keep inflation down.
See, he doesn't even understand that. The money printing is the inflation. So he says, well, they'll increase money supply, and that'll increase the inflation. That's the same thing. It's amazing how people just don't understand what it is. I mean, here's Egon. He doesn't understand what inflation is. Money printing is the inflation. You've inflated the money supply. It's very simple, and yet nobody seems to understand it. I guess we're just on a different plane than everybody else, where we understand it. We know that's what it is. And yet Alligator doesn't get it. And I thought Egon got it. He understands the dollar losing value. He just doesn't understand that that's the inflation. The dollar going, money printing going up and inflation going up. Well, maybe he understands it, but we'll see.
And print money simultaneously. There's just an impossibility. And that's where we're going to see the inflation increasing. And we're going to see possibly hyperinflation. That's what I've been forecasting for 25 years. To what level, we don't know, but it always happens at the end of an economic era, when money printing accelerates. Then that is the only tool that central banks have to print more money, and printing more money that has no value leads to inflation and hyperinflation. So that's what we're looking at now, Jan, for coming years. That's what people should prepare for. And prepare means,
buy gold.
Covering themselves in the only asset that actually maintains its value, which is gold and silver in inflationary terms. And, it's interesting now just to take the stock market. The stock market has lost 30% against gold this year, and people are still chasing the stock market. The Dow Jones is down 30% against gold just this year, and therefore people are chasing the wrong instrument, but they don't even know about gold today. Yes, we're seeing more gold buying. Yes, we're seeing more clients coming into us for wealth preservation purposes, but on the whole, the masses are not buying gold because they still think that the stock market is going to save them at all times.
A good point, Ego.
Well, again, they don't understand the money printing, and then people are funny now. They want to make a lot of money in the market. They don't want to work where they can't find jobs. The economy sucks. And so they go, oh, how can I make a lot of money? Oh, I can make a lot of money in the stock market. Look how high it is. It's at 41,000. So I'll buy the big 7 stocks and I'll make money. And that's kind of what their thinking is. I don't want to wait. I have no patience. I need it tomorrow. I want to make $1 million tomorrow in the stock market. That's how stupid these people are. And the financial planners who they listen to put them in stocks and not in the gold and silver because there's no commission in it. So they're not in the best asset. And a little of them are going, well, gold's going up. Why aren't I in gold? And then they buy ETFs or gold stocks, not physical. So they're going to get fucked there because they need to be in physical. Physical is the only way. Then nobody can fuck with you. The attack on Wall Street guys got 60,000 in the housing market, in the real estate trust, and they devalue it and say, no, screw the people. We're not going to take the hit because their note was going to be worthless. So the people were going to be worthless anyway as they were selling it. But why is he in the real estate in the first place when the dollar's going down in the real estate they can't afford? So they're not paying, and then there's nobody to step up. So if you're not paying your mortgage, it just goes away. It's not like, hey, Joe, come on, here's the mortgage to buy, and then you take over the mortgage. That's what could have happened, but that's not what happened. And then therefore that's the problem. But it's the financial planner or financial advisor or stockbroker type who doesn't tell them to go into gold. That's the real problem. The people are ignorant because it's not taught. Why isn't it taught in schools? Good question. That's what I'm doing here is teaching you about it. But you got to come to the professor in a YouTube channel, not in your high school or college to learn this. And that's a big problem. And they teach Keynesian because nobody understands it anyway. And it's not right. It's not accurate. It doesn't work. So that's a big problem of what's going on is people don't know. They go to their advisor who doesn't put them in gold because he gets no commission. So they're all going to be steered in the stocks. And when it tanks, it's going to be like Madoff. Oh, I lost my life savings. I actually thought the Ponzi scheme was real, that I was getting 14%. And, I didn't think to sell. Okay, so you're in the Ponzi scheme. You see this housing crisis happening. Get out. Sorry, Madoff, I got to get out. And that would have been it. But I guess he had like 300 feeder funds giving him money every month. And then he'd take that money and pay off everybody else. I don't know how he kept track of it because there was so many customers he had. I mean, that was just a nightmare. I don't know. I don't know who kept track of everything. But that was a problem. So even if Madoff is crooked, but you go, well, I'm getting 14%, so it's okay. As soon as you see trouble coming, somehow he survived the 2000 IT crash. Because that was, I think, I don't know, it wasn't worldwide, so you could still get money in. But he couldn't get, for 2008, he couldn't get any help. And so he went out. Otherwise, he'd still be going on strong. People would still think it's real, and they'd still be making money. It's the one Ponzi scheme that I really don't understand what the problem was, because everybody was getting paid. I've been here. Well, I was in Madoff for 10 years, and I never got a dividend. I heard people were getting dividends. But what kills me about Madoff is these rich people who got into it, who had to know better, who didn't who stayed in it, right? Who didn't realize it was a Ponzi scheme, get out of it. Oh, I lost everything. Come on, you're a smart guy. You didn't know. And then that rich guy in Europe who basically was in charge of the feeder fund. So he would get these people and he'd get a commission on it. So that's why some of the rich guys were there. Excuse. God. Quite a cold I got. I didn't have it until I woke up. I started sneezing. It did get warmer out, but it didn't get profit 90 degrees like you said. Anyway, that's enough of that. I'm at 2 hours. So really, it's just if you want to watch it, it's this one. This was actually a few weeks ago on Investor Talk. And that's his monthly one he does with the Swiss guy or the German guy. But it's the same thing. It's buy gold, buy silver, get out of the dollar. It's not worth anything. So the synopsis of my thesis is that the dollar's gone. It's not worth anything. Get out of stocks. Bitcoin's not real. How could it be? And just be in gold and silver and just be patient. Gold's running 3,200. It took its dip, but it's back up. It got rid of the derivative players and look forward to run. And silver will move July 1st. So we're already in the middle of May. Are you sure it may not be hay fever? I have no idea. I doubt it. I'm in the house, so I don't think it's hay fever. Alyssa had hay fever, she was saying, but I don't think so. Who knows? What's the difference? I don't have hay in the house, so I don't think it's hay fever. I just worry about the bloody nose here that is happening. But it was really rough last night. All of a sudden, you could feel the flood come out, and you're sleeping, and you realize it's blood because it's happened before. I think it might be the humidifier. I might need to get one, although that's usually in the winter when it's dry, but we'll see. I find Benadryl allergy works very well for pollen. Okay, well, like I said, I don't know that I have pollen. I don't think that's what I have, but you never know. The pool is pissing me off because they're closed. There's a synchronized swim meet. Who the fuck has a synchronized swim meet at a city swimming pool? So my lap lane's closed as they closed the whole lap pool for the synchronized swimming. And the hot tub's closed. So I went yesterday, I did the bike, and that was all I could do. There was my lane was closed and the hot tub was closed. And really the problem is the other pool is 3 feet deep, maybe a little bit more than 3 feet, which actually hurts my back and my feet trying to run in 3.5 feet of water. That's why I got to be in the other lap that has 5 feet. So it comes up to here. It's really healthy for you. But at 3 feet coming up to your waist, you got a problem there. That's not going to work. So anyway, I don't know. I can try that today. I might go ride the bike, take a shower there, take a steam I can do there. But I can't hot tub. There's hot tubs always broken. They let all these young kids in it who probably pee in the water, and then it's always screwed up. It's just ridiculous. So anyway, I'm not sure I'll go. And if I do, I don't have to go by 4:30 because I'm not going to use the pool unless I deem I'll go into the kids' pool, the 3-foot pool, which I really don't want to do. Anyway, so I might go, I might not. I'll probably watch the PGA. Maybe I'll go ride, but I might go to the lake and walk it and get my exercise in that way. I got to see how warm it is. It's not too warm here. We didn't get 98 profit. Yes, I understand this is the time of year that pollen comes out, but I'm sure it came out a few weeks ago. I didn't have any problem. This is just the cold I got today, which I can't figure out, but so be it. I took a shower. Maybe I'll go for a steam. A steam would probably be good for my cold. I could ride the bike there, and then I can go into the kiddies, the 3-foot section. I wouldn't mind if the hot tub was working. I could do, they have like a circle pool with the current, but I'm not going to go just for that. So I might. I got till 4:30. Anyway, that's about it. So baseball again. It's Pitt under with Scanes. We got Miami over 8.5. The Cubbies, the 49ers over 8.5. Arizona over 9. San Diego under 7.5. And the Yanks under 8.5 with Freed going. I would bet the Yankees, but they might have a pretty good pitcher, and so probably be a low scoring game. So 2, 4, 6, 7 games. They're all like 2. Well, the Yank game and the San Diego game are 3 units. So good luck on those. Basketball, I took Denver and 8.5. Just it's do or die, and OKC doesn't look that to beat them. Denver did win game 6. So you're just hoping it's a close game. Can Denver win? I don't know. I don't know how good OKC is, and I really don't know how good Denver is. And I hate that their centers shooting 3-point shots. I don't know what they're thinking there. Anyway, so buy your gold tonight. China gets it tonight, but China's been not helping our progress. They've been actually shorting it more than buying it. So maybe that'll change. Although we'll see when it does. And otherwise, they're out of their derivatives now. Here comes we need gold. The demand's there, but again, the demand in comex, they got to stand for delivery. They're not doing it, so the price is going up from the central banks buying it. But like I said, I don't know if there's any more left. So now it's going to really go up. Well, they'll still buy it because it's much cheaper on comex than in the real world. So it's 3,200 on comex and probably 3,400 and if they wanted to buy in the real world. So we'll see. But they're trying to inch it up. They don't want it to just go up to 10 grand. They want it a little at a time so they can buy. Again, so we talk markets. Again, the market's what we're willing to pay for it. Somebody's selling something that we're willing to take. It could be eggs in an omelet. It could be veggies. It could be food. It could be clothes. It could be a watch, a phone. We determine it. What's a fair trade. So yesterday at the Coney, it was not a fair trade to spend $13 on an omelet. Right? That's too much. The fair trade for me is $7, maybe $8. That would have been a fair trade. I would have bought the omelet for that. I'm not paying 13. And I got a fridge with eggs that I could go make a 3-egg omelet with real broccoli and real red and yellow peppers and a little bit of meat in it. That's far better and tastes better. And there's a lot more and it's much cheaper and it's made with olive oil. So the whole that's why you tend to eat at home more. Not only is it cheaper, it's healthier. So I don't know. Look for McDonald's to go out because, when I looked at McDonald's stock, it's like $3.50 a share. And I'm like, but why is it $3.50? So maybe people have been running there because of the inflation. Their money's worth less. So they go to McDonald's, but now McDonald's is too expensive. So people are now starting to eat at home, doing what I do. I'll go get 3 pounds of hamburger and make 10 hamburgers, and there you go. And it's $15. It's $6 a pound. It's $18 for 10 hamburgers. You're charging me $20 McDonald's for one that I don't even think is made out of meat. So understand your markets. We are the market. It's what we were willing to pay for it. And if it's not a fair trade, you don't buy it. That's why you look for the substitute. Well, I'll buy this brand instead of that brand because it's a fair trade if I buy this brand over that. Or I don't buy Coke, I buy Squirt because Squirt's $1.99 and Coke's $3.50. Well, it's pop is pop. It's not worth it. But I don't do that often. I try to stay away from pop, but once in a while. Anyway, I think that's about it. So have a good day, everybody. Good luck on the games if you're betting. Stay out. Be careful of the inflation. It is much, much higher than 3%. And just go with that. So understand that. Buy as much gold and silver as you can. If the price is high, buy a quarter ounce of gold or a tenth of an ounce of gold where it's cheaper. The point is to establish and buy as much gold as you can. And we're not stackers, we're collectors. And I think that's it. So at least jump on the silver, be patient, wait for July 1st, and then it should go up. And people say, well, you're buying precious metals as a protector to protect your wealth. And my thing is, no, we're buying it to get rich also. It'll protect our wealth, but we're buying it also to the double edges. Not only will we get out of dollars that go to zero, we'll buy gold that'll go up, but we're going to be rich on gold because it's going to go very high and it'll be used as the currency. Jesus. Anyway, so that's what's going on. I'm going to go eat something and try to figure out what to do with my nose. All right. Have a good day, everybody. I will see you tomorrow. www.teaserking.com. Enjoy your day. All right. Take care, everybody.